For the record, I worked on this speech word for word, and then Aaron graciously let me know, oh, you can use your laptop during your presentation. And then I spent the last week rewriting this to make it not boring and not what you see on the screen. So we'll just see how this goes. Hello, everyone. My name is Ross Clettenburg, and I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am a full stack developer. I have a passion for movies, which I think provides a fun twist to Git and GitHub. I'm here to just talk about some basic core concepts. So we're just going to start by just talking about Git first and then GitHub. Some people use analogies like trees, tree branches, energy vibrating slowly. I was told that with a straight face. It's too confusing, too many metaphors. I just find it easier to just think of it as a timeline. Think of your project as a timeline, like the Back to the Future trilogy or the Terminator movies. Git acts as your time machine, allowing you to travel back and forth and make changes to your project. Up here I have a pull request with all the pieces. You can try to follow along. I'm also going to explain it later. Every project begins with that first commit. The git commit command is one of the core functions of Git. Each commit is like taking a snapshot of your project's files at a specific moment in time. If something goes wrong, you can even go back to those snapshots to see if the state of your project is or was at that point in the timeline. It's like that part in Terminator when Kyle Reese had to go back to 1984 in the movie. After you make your changes to your project and they've been committed, you can then use the git push command to commit to the timeline. Usually it's going to be the main branch. Now that we've covered the importance of commits, we're going to move on to branches. Branches are effectively a pointer to a specific commit or a group of commits according to Google. Branches are just like alternate timelines. I just wrap my head around it that way. That way you can work on new features or bug fixes independently from the main timeline or the main project. Like how Skynet, once again in the Terminator movies, tries to come up with different timelines, different movies, but the future is always the same. It's always sad. Now, so far we've talked about Git. I've just been talking about stuff you can do on your local machine. Eventually, you should want to share your project with the world, collaborate with somebody, or even work on a team on one project. That's where GitHub comes in. GitHub is a web-based platform that allows developers to create, store, manage, and share code. I just think of GitHub as a giant online library of repositories and text files. A big feature of GitHub and collaboration in general is pull requests. That's what's on the screen right now. Pull requests are like proposing changes to the timeline. You want to think of it as punching in the date you want to travel to into the DeLorean. You suggest changes and everyone reviews and discusses them before they are added. It's like that part in Back to the Future Part 2, when there was the 1985 timeline and then the alternate 1985 timeline. Doc Brown and Marty, they decide to go back to 1955 to merge those two timelines together. Once your changes are approved, they get combined into the main project. You get to join your work with everyone else's. You want to think of merging as bringing together all these different timelines into one timeline. This is like that part, once again, this time in Back to the Future Part 3. This is where Marty McFly goes from 1885 back to 1985. Clayton Ravine is now Eastwood Ravine, but Jennifer Parker is still asleep on the porch swing. Thus, the two 1985s are merged together. I'm excited. I've also had too much coffee. I've been currently working on a code-along project. So basically for each new feature or bug fix, I create branches with straightforward names, which then later become the names of the pull requests. So up here at the top, we have Get Dragons. That's the branch name I created, and then it automatically makes it the name of the pull request. I like to keep it 2 to 3 words for my branch name, so that's a whole other talk, a whole other article there. So when a feature or fix is ready, I push the branch, which then opens that pull request, and then I can provide a super sweet description of the code changes. So here we have, once again, the Get Dragons pull request title. Here is, it's not a comment, it's the actual description of what happened in the pull request. It just shows up on the GitHub as a nice comment. This one was only 3 lines. I had one in another project that was kind of like 5 lines. You can make them as long as you want, is my point. I like to keep the commits nice and short. This process keeps me organized and ensures that changes are smoothly integrated into my main projects with all updates documented. I think it's been an incredibly effective way to manage the project. In conclusion, Git and GitHub are great tools for managing code and collaborating on projects, talking to other people. That's just the name of the game. So I hope this makes Git and GitHub just a bit more clear for somebody in this room. And I hope it inspires somebody to start your own adventure with your own projects. After all, the future's not set. There's no fate but what we make for ourselves. Thank you so much for your time.